Hello guys and welcome to a new video of Mr. Mark Explains History, and today we're gonna start a mini-series about time periods. So first of all, before we start talking about time periods, what do we actually mean in history when we say time period? I guess for most of you that's an easy question, but we should kind of define this. So a time period is a part of time based on a certain event, development, or characteristics. So human history is long, right? It's like 100,000 BC to now. So in order to make it understandable, we divide it up into many different periods, and that we call time periods. So I also asked our friend ChatGPT, and he says a time period in history is like a specific chapter in a big book about the past, so about the human past. It's a way to talk about what happened during a certain time, like when knights and castles were around or when people started using machines for work. So let's say the whole human history is a book, then a time period is a chapter. So today we're going to talk about the whole book and why those chapters were made, and then in next videos we're going to zoom in on a chapter each time. Before we talk about periods, you need to understand the difference between history and the past. So the past is everything that has ever happened before this moment. So the fact that you ate pasta last night for dinner or cereal for breakfast, that's all in the past. It's probably not going to be important for history. So what is history then? The story of the past written, constructed by historians to also give meaning to the past. It's kind of an explanation of the past. So we focus on, like, say, the main line, the main developments, like what's happening. So the fact that you ate that cereal for breakfast, it is in the past, but it's not really part of history. It's not gonna make history because you need to focus on the main story, the main explanation of the past. So what do historians do then? What's their role? Well, they try to make sense of the past. They look at the past and try to explain it and create some kind of order in there. And they are the ones that come up with time periods to make the past more understandable. Let's say they created the chapters in the book of history. They are the ones who decide what is a chapter and why are we making that a chapter. So some facts: history is made by people based on the past, and historians often disagree about their explanation of the past, also about time periods. So you have to remember this. History can change all the time. So it's presented at school as like this is how it was, but over the past 100 years we've already changed quite a lot about history, because it's an explanation of the past and our explanation can change. So how do historians make those periods then? So let me use a little pen for this. I made a beautiful kind of layout here with dots and boxes, etc. It might seem very complicated, but I'll show you why I did that. So let's say this is the past, and these are all the things we know about the past. This is our evidence of the past. And then historians look at the things we know, and they're like, hey, at this moment, something is really changing. For example, people start to live in a different way. There was like a big war happening, or we know way less about it. Something changed there. So they're going to group this together, and they say these kind of share some kind of traits, characteristics, and we call it the Iron Age. Then they say, okay, so then a new age starts, and this new age starts here, but at this moment also something is changing. So in the past, they notice when they research the past, something is changing there. Maybe some big event happened. So they're going to call it the New Age. And what then starts is, for example, the Mr. Mark Age. So historians look at the past. They look at these events. They come up with names for it based on what they see. And that's what we call periodization, with a very difficult words. So that is, in short, how historians look at the past and come up with these time periods. So let's say this starts in the year 0, and this is now, this is 2000. Okay, I'm writing very ugly. Or 200, and then this is what happens, and they come up with those time periods. Okay, let's go get rid of this pen. So in Western history, because I think most of you at school learn about Western history, we divide it up into 5 main big periods. So prehistory, ancient times, antiquity, Middle Ages, early modern age, and the modern age. And I want to know in the coming videos, we're going to talk about why is this a new period and what makes this period, let's say, why is it a separate period? What are the characteristics of that period? Why does it start? Why does it end? Of course, we also don't know after the modern age what comes there, which period is next. We still need to experience that, and then historians need to decide, explain the past, and say, look, this is where a new period is going to start. So maybe the internet age, or after 9/11, the age of terrorism and internet. I think that would be a good name. Finally, I call this Western time periods. Why Western? Because this works very well when you explain the history of, for example, France or England. But if you look at China, Chinese history, they would use totally different periods. I'll probably make a video about that too. So why is it important to know historical periods? I like to compare it with kind of a cabinet or a coat rack. If you know your periods, if you know these kind of big boxes, it's much easier to place new knowledge there. So if you've kind of some context already about a certain period, it's much easier to connect new knowledge to that. And often those periods are not taught in schools, let's say, just by itself and in relationship to each other. You just focus on Middle Ages, but you have no clue how it's connected with periods before and after that. So this was a very brief, short explanation of the concept of time periods, and in the next videos we're gonna focus on those 5 big Western periods. So the first video will be about prehistory, and we'll look at the characteristics, why did historians choose to make this a period, why did it start, why did it end, etc. Then ancient times, Middle Ages, early modern age, and modern age. So hopefully you're excited also about this next video about prehistory. I'll upload it soon. Leave a comment, tell me your feedback. If, for example, you didn't know that history and the past were 2 different things, I really would appreciate that. So thank you for watching. Have fun and learn history. See you guys.